We want to be able to predict the future. But unfortunately, life almost never works out that way. Life is often filled with uncertainty. And this is something I have struggled with for the majority of my life. I am a recovering perfectionist, a recovering overachiever, a recovering over planner. I hate not knowing what's going to happen next. I hate not being able to plan my life out. And the times where I've allowed that fear to take over and control me are the times where I felt the most stuck in my life. To be afraid to take action just because you can't control the outcome or you don't know what the outcome is going to be is exactly how we stay stuck, feeling like we're never making any progress, feeling like we're never reaching our goals because we're so scared of the unknown. We're scared to do the scary things. And so we end up being in a very comfortable life that is below our potential. Here's what I've learned. I've learned that growth in self-mastery require the courage to go into the unknown. It requires the courage for us to do the things that we can't control and to do the things that doesn't promise anything, but then doing it anyway because you know that that is the key to your personal growth. Perfect example of this is me doing this YouTube channel. I mean, y'all have no idea how long it takes, how expensive it is, how time consuming it is to try to be a content creator and make content on the internet. And I personally don't have to do it, nor am I doing it for the money. If it comes great, I think anyone who works deserves to get paid. Doing YouTube doesn't promise me anything. Doing YouTube is completely uncertain. It's completely unknown. There is no promise that I'm going to make it or get any sort of reward out of doing this other than just my personal fulfillment. But I keep coming back to it because there is something inside of me. There is a voice in my soul that tells me that this is something I'm supposed to be doing, that I can help somebody with it. So I do it even though it's scary. It's scary to expose yourself on the internet in that way, especially me being a very private person, but I have to do it because I know that if I don't, I'm going to remain stuck. And I'm going to get at the end of my life feeling like I regretted it because I didn't take the risk. I didn't go out there and do the scary things that my soul was telling me to do. It's the courage to do the scary things. Even if you're not sure if you're going to make it, you just have to do it anyway. And today I'm going to share with you how I've learned to handle the fear around uncertainty, the fear around doing things that are scary, especially because I think it's such an important skill to learn. If you're someone who want to do the extraordinary, you have to do the things that the majority of the population isn't willing to do. So the first thing I want to talk about is the proof is in your past. You know, whenever I am facing a new uncertain path in my life, which I currently am facing one right now, so this is very raw and very real for me, I like to remind myself of all of the things in my past that I didn't know if I could do, that I didn't know if I could overcome, but I did anyway. So I'll give you guys a couple of examples. I remember when I moved to the US from Haiti, I was 13 years old. I had to leave my entire family and friends and everything I've ever known. I was in a completely new world. Everything felt so foreign to me, and I had no idea how I was going to survive. But I did. I remember when I was about to graduate high school, I really needed a full ride scholarship because I was raised by a single mom. So I needed a full ride scholarship to go to college. I was getting a bunch of scholarships, but none of it added up to paying for my full tuition. And then at the very last minute, literally weeks before classes started, I got an email from the number one university in my state that I was going to get a full tuition. I didn't know how that was going to work out in the moment, but looking back now, I know that it worked out. I remember going to college thinking that I was going to be a doctor, right? I went in there, I majored in biology pre-med, but I couldn't stand chemistry. I felt so lost because my whole life I thought I was going to be a doctor. My whole family thought I was going to be a doctor, and now I didn't want that for myself anymore. I had to change my path. It was scary. It was so uncertain, but I figured it out. I ended up being a lawyer instead. And so that worked out. When I graduated from law school, I didn't have a job waiting for me. It was so uncertain. Imagine during the 3 years of law school, I was barely earning anything. So I needed to bring money in ASAP. And it was so unclear. But the same week that I found out that I passed the bar exam, I went to my very first interview like 2 days later and I got the job on the spot. I didn't know how it was going to work out, but looking back now, I saw that it did. And during COVID, I got furloughed from my first real adult job. I was at home living with my mom with no job, and I didn't know what was going to happen next. I mean, we were in the middle of a worldwide pandemic and I didn't have a job. And then I got a new offer for a much better job in a brand new city with the chance to reinvent myself completely. I didn't know how that was going to work out, but I know that it worked out looking back. And a lot of the reasons why we get so scared of uncertainty is because we forget who we are. We forget that we are capable of doing hard things. We forget what we're capable of doing. We forget that we've done hard things before. And so the solution, the most effective solution that I have learned is to remind yourself, right? So step one, if I were to come up with a system, step one is to look back and find the evidence. So I'm a lawyer. And when I go to court, like when you go to court as a lawyer, all you're trying to do is prove and trying to find what the truth is. You're trying to prove your case. And how you do that is with evidence. I think this is something that we can also implement in our everyday life. You don't need to listen to somebody else's stories. You don't need to listen to my stories, even though I just shared it to you guys just to give you examples. The real power comes when you go into your own life and find the evidence of your own strength. You've done hard things before. I can almost guarantee that if you've lived long enough, you've had to overcome some things. You've survived difficult things before. Maybe not this exact situation, but your own life shows that you can handle this. So go back and remind yourself of the things that you've done that in the moment it felt impossible, but now looking back, you can see how you overcame it and everything worked out. Step number 2, remind yourself of who you are. Once you have the evidence that you've done hard things in the past, you then have to remind yourself of it. You have to be your own cheerleader. This is not the time to be humble. This is the time to hype yourself up. For me, this means that I have to get quiet. I have to be with myself and I have to remind myself, like me to me, I have to remind myself of who the hell I am. I have to look in the mirror and I have to talk to myself. I have to say it out loud that I am not that, weak little girl anymore. I am a grown ass woman. I am strong. I am powerful. I am a force. I can handle it. I have to remind myself that I've done things before that I didn't think I could do, right? And I've overcome so many horrible things in my life, and I wasn't even as strong as I am now when I did it. And I can do it again and again and again, and I can do it even better this time. So really, I would recommend, like, I literally have a mirror. I have it upstairs. I wish I brought it down with me. But I have a mirror. Sometimes I would like literally in my bed, look at myself, or I would go in the bathroom and look at myself in the mirror, like me to me, like, let me remind you of who you are. Okay. And I think sometimes we want to play humble, but this is not the time to do this. You have to be the one to encourage yourself. You have to become your cheerleader. Step number 3 is decide what you want. You have to remember that you are not a victim here. You are not a victim. You have power. You are the author of your life story. Even if you don't know what will happen next, even if you're not able to predict the future, you have the power to choose. I don't think sometimes we realize how powerful our power of choice is. You can create worlds with your choices. You can choose your thoughts. You can choose your actions. You can choose the life that you want to build. So I want you guys to remember that and speak what you want to happen. Stop focusing on the problem. Focus on the solution. Focus on what you want. You have the power to create the solution that you need right in the middle of the problem, right in the middle of the unknown. Sometimes we don't take the time to sit down and ask ourselves, what do you want? What do you want to happen? And I think it's because we feel so powerless and so helpless because we cannot predict the future, but we have the power to create with our words. If you look at the Bible, how all of this was created was God said, let there be. And then it was, let there be light, and light showed up. Right. And we are made in his image. We are a piece of God. And I believe that we have the power to create things and manifest things with our words, with our intentions. So be very clear about what you want. The situation that you're facing right now, even though it's unclear, even though it's uncertain, you have to be certain within yourself as to what you want to happen, what you want the outcome to be, and then take steps towards that with your choices. And that is how you deal with uncertainty. That is how you use the uncertainty as fuel for your creation, for your manifestation. You have to remind yourself of who you are, what you've done, what you're capable of, and what you have the power to create. It's all about your mindset. If you can learn to get your mindset right, you can get your life right. I'm going to say this again. If you can learn to get your mindset right, you can get your life right. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing that can come that you cannot overcome. And there is nothing that you cannot do. There is nothing that you cannot create if you can learn to harness the power of your own mind. So I have a challenge for you this week. I want you to do step 1, which is to get quiet for just a few minutes and find one piece of evidence from your own life. I want you to put on your lawyer hat, if that helps. Sometimes for me, playing a role like as if I was in a movie helps me. But go in your life, maybe be like a detective. Go inside of your life and look for the evidence. Look for examples of really, really difficult things that you didn't think you could do, but you did. You didn't think you could overcome, but you did. Okay? I want you to find one really good piece of evidence from your own life. Just one time that you were in a very uncertain, scary situation and you figured it out and you survived it and you learned to thrive through it. And just remember that you've done this before. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything is just a repetition. You're not the first person to have ever gone through that situation, and you won't be the last. It's all a matter of getting your mindset right so that you don't let it overcome you. You don't let it overpower you, but you take control over the situation with your mindset and create what you want out of that situation. So I want to remind you that you've done it before and you can do it again. You are not weak. You are a creator. Okay, you are a creator. And maybe I should do a video about how powerful it is to realize that you are a creator. You are co-creating this life with this higher power that's always on your team. You have a higher power that's always on your team. So I just want you to know that you're a winner and that you can do this. I hope that helps. If this helped in any way, I do invite you to like and subscribe and comment and continue the conversation down below. I'll have links and summaries or whatever else I can find in the comments. And before I leave, I do want to make a book recommendation. There's this book that just came out recently by one of my favorite authors of all time. Her name is Glennon Doyle. She just wrote this book called We Can Do Hard Things, I believe it's called. I am going to have that on my list of things to read. I recommend that you guys also go ahead and pick that book up. I'm also I've been thinking about starting a book club because I love to read, and it would be really cool to have a community of people that we can read these books together and discuss it and, just have a community. So if you guys are interested in a book club, let me know. That is it for this video. I will see you in the next. Love you guys so much.